Here we go. It's time to go live. All right, wonderful, wonderful. Another week, another stream. You can ignore this. This is the project I'm working on. This is what we are here for today. It's the last stream of July. And you know what that means? It's time for live feedback, which I'm super excited about. So, ooh, that's my phone. I gotta turn that down. I got a lot of really cool things to announce. We'll see what I'll get through today. But got a couple of I've got some new sponsors for the competition. So I got some small adjustments to the prizes coming up. I'm gonna wait until I can make an official announcement for that. But welcome Jem, welcome Rokad, welcome Tamashi, welcome Shibshunkar. Awesome, we got some people coming up. All right, so I got a couple things to talk about before we dive in. But for those of you who haven't seen yet, I'm back to posting videos and actual videos, not just edited live streams. In particular, this week I did how to write ambient fantasy music like Skyrim, which I had a lot of fun with this live stream. So here's where it's gonna get. Here's where I'm gonna talk to you guys. I'll talk on this a little bit. So I want to focus on building the YouTube channel as much as I can while I'm between projects, which is looking to be a very short window. I got another project coming up, most likely. So as you can see, 1.2K views, but we're coming up on the third day. Third day is usually when my videos start to peter out. So I have a rule. I am not going to use bots. I'm not going to use spams or anything like that. But my standards are not that high, and I'm not above bribery. All right, so here's what we're going to do. A couple things y'all can do to help support the channel. All right, we're going to put this down here. All right, 3 things you can do to support the channel. And I swear, I'll get to the bribery part in just a minute. All right, first, like the video, which is obvious. Like the stream real quick. If you're on here, like the stream. We're going to do some feedback in a second. Number 2, watch the whole video. All right, so right now, if you haven't seen the video, go over, if you can do me a favor, go over, watch the video, click on it, open it, mute it, and just keep it in another tab. That works wonders. YouTube just wants to see what percentage of the video gets watched. All right, and the bigger the percentage, the better. Number 3, comment. All right, leave a comment and respond to a comment. And then number 4 here, what was it? Hit share. All right, so share the video. Share the video with a friend. This could be a DM, anything. So, a bit of an honor code right now. Right now, on my website, I am hosting a sale, okay? To kind of celebrate being back to posting videos. The bookshop, everything is 20% off, which is about standard. It's the biggest sale I'll usually do. But as a little bit of a bribe to help game the system a little bit, if you go on and you find that video, you like the video, and you leave a comment and respond to a comment, I will send you a coupon code, all right? Email me telling me you've done it, or send me a message on Instagram telling me you've done it. You know what? I'll double check. I'll send you a coupon code for 15% off so that you can get whatever you want from the store for 35% off. It's not the best bribe, but it's a bribe. All right, so, and it's very much a bribe. So, but that's enough about me and my stuff. Let's get into the music, shall we? So, yes, again, help support the video, because my main thing for the video is going to start trailing off on day 3. I want to avoid that. I want to give it another big boost, and the best way to give that video a big boost is for people to be commenting on it. YouTube loves comments. They like to see that people are having a conversation under a video. All right. That's the shopkeeping kind of stuff. So today we've got a lot. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 submissions this time around. So the first one we got here is Crow's Night, and let's take a look at the requests. So the requests: I feel I couldn't capture the right essence and mood that the Nier series composer did. I unfortunately haven't seen Nier, but I know a lot of you guys have, based on the comments. So let me know if it works, all right? Is it the melody, the instrument choice, the chord choice, the song structure? What am I doing wrong? All right, while listening to my own mix, the mix sounds vastly different from my reference tracks, Weight of the World. In the reference track, even though the reverb of the instrument sounds like they are in a large room, they stand out on their own without being cluttered and with an added shine to its overtones. However, mine sounded cluttered with a large reverb and the overtones sounded dull. EQing the highs doesn't seem to work for me, as it gives me more air in the mix rather than a gentle shine on it. Is there a way to work around and give off a similar mix to the reference track? All right, additional notes. I tried making a piece that feels similar to the Nier series OSTs, such as Weight of the World, etc. All right, so I haven't seen Nier, unfortunately. But so essentially, what you're looking for is, why does the mix sound a little cluttered? The instruments don't stand out. And yeah, so basically a little bit on the mix. Let's take a listen to it, shall we? Oh, that's gorgeous. There we go. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, that's beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna say right off the bat, I have no idea. I know nothing about Nier. All right, I know nothing about the series. I'm assuming it's a show. Um, so I can't give feedback based off of that. Um, but in terms of why things don't stick out. So you said you feel that you couldn't capture the right essence and mood that the Nier series composer did. Is it the melody? Is it the instrument choice, the chord choice, song structure? And what am I doing wrong? So without knowing what that style is and going based purely off just kind of an academic approach, I think your instrument choice was wrong. Now, it might be that you chose very similar instruments to the series. But when I say that your instrument choice was wrong, you had acoustic guitar playing in its upper register, you had a flute playing in its lower to mid register, and you had mid to upper strings. Those are three voices all crowded in the same kind of register. So, for example, if you will, I'm not going to open a new file. We'll just open it. So, if you were to have, let's see here, say your melody right here, and your chords right here, and your whatever. You've got all of your music clustered around this area. But you have so many more octaves to go work with. It's an issue of register. So if you've ever seen my playlist on advanced orchestration techniques, it's not really advanced. It's more just kind of arranging techniques and fundamental arranging techniques. But if you want, I'd say go to Tabletop Composer. Go to my website. Go to the Academy. And this class right here, Orchestration 2 Fundamentals of Arranging Techniques, will help. Because right now, what's happening is you have multiple really cool layers in your music, but they're all competing around the same kind of frequency. They're all around like the upper mids kind of area. And I could be wrong about that. I'm not very good with like my frequency ranges. But the main idea is like you've got 3 ideas. You've got the guitar, the flute, and the strings. And they're all cluttering each other. There are ways you can fix that with mixing. You can use panning. You can use stereo depth. You can use mic levels. There's a lot of things you can do to create a physical space for each of those. But if I were to say one way to kind of fix it, right off the bat, I would say take your strings, since they're the easiest to move around, and either raise them higher or raise them lower. In fact, one thing you could do is if you have the strings playing chords, have the upper strings go above your melody, like an octave above your melody, and then have your lower voices go an octave lower than like the guitar. And that will create a nice little empty space in the middle where the flute and the guitar can play, and they're not all competing with each other, if that makes sense. Other than that, absolutely stunning arrangement. All right, again, I have no idea what Nier is. I have no idea what the series is, but the music is beautiful. If it's anything like what you've written, it sounds gorgeous. So wonderful job. Now, I have to say something. You might have noticed I was being quieter during the playthrough. So I have received a comment recently asking me not to talk so much during the actual playing of the music. I have to say, as someone with ADHD, that is very, very big ask, because I have thoughts, I want to share them, but I do understand that it can be frustrating. So if you guys want me to keep talking during the things like I've done in the past, where I'll make comments, I'll respond to questions, stuff like that, I'm happy to do that. But I also understand that there are people who want to hear the music. They don't want me talking over their music, etc., etc. So we'll see how it goes. But, so I hope that helps, Crow. So I wonder if there's a way I could visualize this. Probably not in this piece that I'm working with. But yeah, I would say, just basically going off here, if your flute and your melody, like your guitar and flute are right here, put your upper strings up here, your lower strings down here, and leave that gap in the middle so that you have, you're spread across the registers a bit more. Have your strings in the upper register and the lower register so that the flute and guitar can live right in that kind of middle register area, so that they're not all clumped right on top of each other. It's going to help with a lot of frequency masking issues that might be causing trouble getting stuff to stick out. And it's just going to take much more advantage of the frequency range. So you've got this is an oscilloscope. So let's see, actually. What piece is this? I have no idea what piece this is. Oh, yeah. So you can see how this is spread out a little bit. We've got some highs, we've got some lows down here. And as the piece goes on, the shape, like the different waves, are going to be emphasized differently. But right now, it sounds like you've got yours mostly around the center, and you want to spread it out a little bit more. I have no idea how to explain this a bit better. Hopefully that explains it a little bit better. Hopefully you've got the idea. I don't know if Crow is here or not, but I hope that helps. That's my main issue. Listening to this piece, like I said, just to recap, I think the main issue is your instrument choice, or at least the way you've arranged them. Right now you've got mid strings, flute, low, mid to mid flute, and guitar, and they all sit around the same range. They're all around the same octave or two. So that causes them to compete with each other. If you want to arrange, again, take some of those upper strings, lift them up a high octave, take the lower strings, drop them an octave. It's going to help. Again, if you want to learn more about this, take Orchestration 2, Fundamental Arranging Techniques. It is absolutely free. Let's see here, some comments. Shipshakar, just 15%. All right. So Shipshakar is talking about my bribe. All right, so if you're new to the stream, I am bribing everybody now. My new video. This one, the Skyrim tutorial, is performing very, very well, but it's the 3rd day. And the 3rd day on my channel is typically when the views, they flatline. All right, I've gotten lots of views so far, but it's going to start flatlining. So as an attempt to avoid this, I am offering to bribe people. All right, go to that video, watch the whole video. You don't have to watch by yourself. Go open it in a tab, open it, then mute it, and just let the whole video play. That works really well. Like the video, leave a comment of your own, and then respond to someone else's comment. And if you're willing, share the link with a friend, even if it's just a direct message to a friend on Instagram or Facebook or whatever you people are using. If you do these things, it's an honor code. I can double check to see if you left the 2 comments, but it's an honor code thing. Send me a message on Instagram, send me a message on email. However, I will give you a coupon code for 15% off anything in my book. Now, the reason why that's kind of a big deal is right now I am hosting a 20% sale. And so the coupon will stack with this. So you'll technically be getting 35% off whatever you'd like. From the book, and it works on more than one thing. So if you want to buy 2 books, for example, my 2 most popular being The Music Storyteller and Emotions with Music, you can get both of them off for 35% off each. So that's the bribe. That's what Shipshakar is talking about. Oh, Shipshakar's not even here. I had to leave. But Jack, Nier makes you question your own existence and everything you've ever been told. It sounds like a good show. Crow's Night submitted this one. Tamashi asking the real questions. What is Nier? I have no idea. It is a very beautiful piece. Oh, it's a video game. It's a video game. I thought it was a show or an anime or something. Okay, so the similarities between this and the reference track used are very noticeable. It's really, really nice. Awesome. Good. So, let's see here. Let's get to the next piece, shall we? All right, so well done, Crow's Night. Beautiful, beautiful piece. Now we have Cash X Plays. We have the link to the music and request. Why do my vocals sound like they're popping? All right. It's probably... All right. Hell yeah.
Everything around me trembling like a quake or no. Missing pieces in my space, but it's my space for sure. Disappearing pages lead a disappearing hole. I can't take anymore. I can't take anymore. I can't take no.
I like that. All right, so that's got okay. So that's what I'm gonna call like the stereotypical Gen Z sound, which I really like. So I was born in '95, so I have no idea whether I'm a millennial or Gen Z. I thought my entire life I was a millennial, and then I was told that I am apparently the first wave of Gen Zs. I don't know what it is. But this sounds. It has a very, very kind of Gen Z sound, which I really, really like. I have a younger cousin who does music like this. And this is very much kind of different. Like, we don't usually get a lot of songs on this channel, so this is exciting. Now, your question, Omega C, Cash Plays, was why do your vocals sound like they're popping? Now, most likely what's happening is something called clipping. So clipping, if I can try and do it here, we'll see here. So right now, if we go in here, you're going to see when this chord plays, whatever this chord is. It was a random one I put together. All right. It says that my meter's peak level is negative 12.3 decibels. Clipping happens when your meter peak goes past 0. All right. There's only so much headroom that your audio processor or whatever, I don't understand the tech behind it very well. But basically, if you get past 0, your software, your audio processor, whatever it is that has to do it, ends up having to cut off the top of your audio to make it work. And so if we were to say minus 12, so let's just increase the gain by 13. This is going to be very loud, people. I apologize. Oh, no, not quite. See, very close. Minus 0.3. Let's do 15. Lo siento mucho. I apologize. All right, there you go. You heard that little pop. You heard that little grain. I'm not going to do it again. You can rewind the stream if you want to. You heard that little clipping sound. So if your vocals are clipping or if your sound is popping, it could be a couple things. Maybe your processor's just not able to deal with it. There could be an issue with like your computer's not strong enough for all the things that you're doing. In which case, there are some things you can do to help. Depends on the libraries you're using. You can kind of make them run a bit easier on RAM. You can try exporting individual tracks to audio, which is less demanding than sound libraries. There's a lot of stuff you can do. But most likely it's clipping. Most likely what's happening is your total mix. It might not be all of your tracks. Excuse me. But it could be your stereo out. The bus where all of your audio tracks go through. It could be that this one is clipping. So this one you can see is clipping because this individual track that I was just playing is clipping. And so when all of your tracks get leveled up, get added together, the total quality can cause these little popping sounds, this clipping sounds. Now, ways you can fix this. One obvious way that's very simple is you can say, oh, I go to my stereo out. It's clipping by 1.7 decibels. All right, so I'm just going to take my master volume and I'm going to reduce the gain by minus 3 decibels. You can do that here with the gain, or you can do that here with your meter. All you're going to do is you're going to reduce it so that it's no longer clipping. That is a very simple, very low-tech way. Another way you can do it is through something called compression. So compression has 3 basic components. It has a threshold. It has a ratio, and a makeup. So the threshold basically says at what point are we going to put a barrier? At what point are we putting a border? So you could say, all right, the types of music, it's different. So I know with orchestral music, you don't want a lot of strong compression. So you're going to set it pretty high. For others, you want very strong compression, depending on the effect. So you're going to want to look into the genre that you work with and how to use compression in that genre. But threshold basically says any sound wave that gets louder than this, we're chopping it down. Now, the ratio tells you how much it's going to be chopped down by. So let's say you've got something so we've got this set to minus 15. This will say, all right, at 1.7 decibels, that's considerably above the threshold. So the ratio says, all right, 2 to 1, we're going to chop that in half. So whatever amount of the wave goes past the threshold, that's the amount that we're going to chop in half. If you set it to third, we're going to chop it into 1/3 of what it does originally past the threshold. For a fourth, it's going to be 1/4, etc., etc. The higher you go, the more dramatic it's going to be. Now, here's where compression gets kind of cool. When you've gone through and you've chopped everything off the top, you've now made your audio considerably quieter. So the makeup gain then says, all right, so if we've chopped everything down by 1/8, so it's pretty much everything is just at minus 15 now. It might be a little bit off, but the average is just going to be stuck here. You can then say, all right, I don't want the final product to be minus 15, but if everything's about minus 15, we can say pop it up to by like 10. All right, so say everything's at minus 15, boom, now it's going to pop it up by 10 decibels, and it's going to be 5 now. That is a very kind of impromptu explanation of compression. Compression is used for 2 things. One, it can reduce, well, it's used for a lot of things, but 2 of the most common when you're first starting out is one, to get rid of clipping. all right, to get rid of those little pops. But number two, it can be also used to get rid of dynamic variability. For example, right now, for this stream, I'm using a software called OBS, where you can see the mirroring effect. It's recording my screen, it's recording my face, it's recording my audio levels, it's doing all kinds of stuff. But on my mic, I have a compressor that basically says, all right, if we're chopping off all the super high volumes, and we're reducing it down by this much, and then we're taking all of the volumes, the sounds that didn't make it past the threshold, and the sounds that went past it, and we're boosting all of them by this much, it closes the gap a little bit, and it gets rid of some of the variability so that my voice doesn't sound all over the place unless I start moving away from the microphone and stuff like that. So I hope that was helpful. I've never taught compression before, so I don't know if that is an effective lesson or an approach that I took to teaching. I apologize if it's not. So I would recommend, if your vocals are popping or any of your arrangements are popping or clipping is what it's called, you will want to look up compression. Find a good YouTuber or a good lesson online, a blog post, something to learn about what is compression and how can you use it specifically for your genre. It's a very, very useful tool. All right, so hopefully that helps. Also, I'm just going to say it, all right? So I mentioned earlier that I got a comment asking me not to talk during the live stream, and I kind of had an understanding. I was like, you know what? I don't want to annoy people, but this is a reaction stream, all right? I'm reacting to the music, and I need to be able to react to the music the way I do. So if you don't like it when I'm talking over the music, I apologize, but the stuff is on screen. You can go look it up yourself. You can listen to it another time. But sometimes I have thoughts. Sometimes I have ideas that I want to share. And this is how I've always done it, so I'm just going to keep doing it. So I apologize if it annoys you, but this is how I choose to run things. If you have your piece, in the future I'll say, if you don't want me to talk during your piece, let me know ahead of time. But otherwise, I'm going to keep talking, I'm going to keep reacting, I'm going to do what I do. So welcome people, welcome. We got some more people. Let's see here. All right, so the volume, hopefully it's bets. That's too much hiss in the vocal, says Sarav Kuhn. I kind of liked it. I'm not sure though. I'm not an expert in this genre, so I'm not sure. Millennial is usually considered 81 to 96, I believe. See, yeah, Jack. See, that's what I thought too. My entire life I was told I was millennial, but apparently it depends on who you ask. Cause I found like I got in a spirited discussion with someone once, and we came across like 9 different definitions of millennials versus Gen Z. So all I know, I was born in 95, so I'm either the very last of the millennials or I am the very first of the Gen Z. I have no idea what I am. All right, so Alex, I really like that last one. Yes, I did too. This was really fun. So excellent work, Omega C. You should also make a playlist for music production and DAW things. Ooh, that'd be fun. Excellent, awesome. So people are fine with me talking. Good. So let's move on to the next one. Let's see here. So Cash Plays, excellent work. Svend has, let's skip this into a new page. Svend Korsgaard, I apologize if I'm butchering the pronunciation, requests, the main idea was the ostinato playing in the low strings, and that's perfect. The rest I basically added to create interest and variety. Did I succeed? Is the rest of the arrangement okay? So low strings, we're good with the ostinato. We want to see how everything else is. At 105, and especially at 130, I wanted the music to come back with a huge boom and impact, but I really don't feel it. What am I missing in order to make the song become huger at the end? I was recently thinking this could be achieved. By low brass and percussion. Awesome. So I've got some thoughts already on how this can be accomplished, but I want to see what you did first. So things that we're looking for this one with Svend is basically, how's the arrangement? It started with the ostinato. Does everything else work to complement the ostinato? And at 105 and 130, we want a big hit and want to know why it doesn't feel like that. All right, let's do it. All right. first boom moment. 105. Excellent. All right, so I just saw a comment that concerns me. So I've now gotten 2 comments saying that the sound of the stream is super quiet. Let me see. Is it the music or is it me? Let me see this. All right, so adjusted the volume a little bit like that. Does that help? Because that's the second comment. I'm getting mixed comments. Some people are saying that it's super quiet. Other people are saying it's fine. Let's see here. But welcome 23, welcome. Stream volume is fine for me. All right, so yeah, we're getting mixed results. All right, so I changed a little bit. I increased the input. All right, awesome. So it's going to be a bit louder now. Hopefully that helps the people who are struggling, and hopefully it's not too much for the people who are not struggling. Let's see here. So I had thoughts. So you had 2 questions, Sven. You had the first question was you were asking, you had the main idea for the ostinato, and you're happy with that, but you want to know about the rest of the arrangement. Does it create interest? Does it create variety? I think it worked pretty well for interest and variety. I think the one thing that was missing is that if the ostinato was the inspiration, and if the ostinato was the foundation, the rest doesn't sound like it. Excuse me. I'm drinking an energy drink, so it's making me a little burpy. But if the ostinato was the foundation of this music, the rest of the music doesn't sound like it was written with the ostinato in mind. And by that, I mean there's not enough in the arrangement that complements it. So again, you all know that I am no stranger to advertising my own stuff. But again, in the Academy, I have free classes. I have posted over 270 videos on YouTube. So I've gone through and I have organized them into 4 classes, along with additional articles and resources made by yours truly to make it more of a class. Orchestration 2, Fundamental Arranging Techniques, dives into a lot of what I'm about to talk about. But if you have an ostinato, and that's the main idea for your arrangement, you should lean into it. So 2 things that I was thinking is, one really big one is I didn't hear enough accentuation. So you had lots of really cool accents in the ostinato. Something that you could do is you could just add an additional voice, whether it's a timpani or whether it's a deep drum or cymbal crashes or whether it's just other low voices that play a reduced version of accent of the ostinato, only playing the accented parts like where you accent the most important beats and help bring a bit more attention to it. Because right now it doesn't sound like your ideas are related to each other quite enough. It's a beautiful piece, and I really, really like it. I wanted to just make sure if you're worrying about the ostinato being the foundation, there are some things you can do to help highlight it a bit more. So accenting is the big one. Again, you can use drum hits to accent those moments. You can use cymbal crashes. You can use other low instruments, like even a tuba, like boom, like a tuba coming in, hitting the low brass, hitting that note and like trailing back out while the ostinato plays. There are ways you can add layers that complement the ostinato without getting in the way of the others. So that's the big one. Another one that you could do is creating a bit more variation across the ostinato as well. And by that, I mean like adding additional layers. So you could have the ostinato playing and establish it. Then you could also harmonize the ostinato by having it played in chordal tones and kind of stuff, and harmonizing itself across multiple layers. And again, you'll learn all of these techniques in orchestration too. So that was your first question. Now your second one about 105 and especially 130. So 130, I think, so anytime you want a big impact in your music, the number one rule is you have to introduce something that wasn't there. So that could be that you introduce the brass for the very first time. That's a very common strategy. Or it could be that the brass were used earlier in the arrangement and then you let them trail out for a little bit and then they come back and you do something really cool here about that part. There you go. So that little part. So I think the issue right here. All right, so right there, it sounds like it's complete. The music could end there and it would be fit. So anytime you have silence in music, the silence will only carry whatever momentum, whatever was in the music immediately before the silence had. So right here, there's not a lot of momentum in the music. It sounded like it was a natural ending spot. Maybe not the best ending spot, but it was a natural ending spot. So something you do is emphasize a half cadence, for example. Building up to just, oops, Cubase isn't playing. Where you could say, where you're building up to, oh, I think I just blew my ears out. I apologize. That's my own stupidity. I forgot to reset. I apologize to everyone for that. I forgot to reset the example from clipping earlier. All right, so here we go. You could say, that's a half cadence. All right. Where it feels like, does that feel like it should end there? Even more, does that feel like it should end there? If we went, no, it doesn't feel like it should end there. And if you want to learn why, which we're not going to go into too much right here, just look up Tabletop Composer, cadences, and boom, what is a cadence? 3-minute video right here that will explain not only what are cadences, but why they work and why they have the pull they want. So I would recommend ending on a half cadence if you haven't already. And then during that pause, introduce a drum roll or cymbal roll a bit earlier, and you'll get a much bigger impact. And then especially when you arrive. When you arrive, boom, mark that arrival with a cymbal crash or a drum hit or something. Accent that arrival, so we're like, oh yeah, we just arrived somewhere. We just got to the point that we were trying to get to, right? Big cymbal crash, big drums hit. Bring in the low brass, and you'll be amazed how much of the impact it will have. But right now, if you want that silence, you're going to need a stronger pull, more momentum to kind of launch you across the gap in your music and keep the energy going instead of kind of lulling your audience into thinking, oh, that's how it ended. Then in 105, where was it? Where is it? Let me get another listen to this one. Same thing. We need a build-up. If you want it to land, again, introducing something new, so adding the brass, that helps a lot. But if you don't want to add anything new, you need something building up, something like adding energy to your music. So again, drum roll, cymbal roll, followed by a crash. It's the simplest, most fundamental tool you can use, like boom kind of thing. It's gonna have a massive impact on the sound. Other than that, I think this is a really good arrangement. Again, I really kind of like this dark fantasy kind of vibe. You did a very good job. I think it's a very appropriate name. And yeah, well done. Excellent work. I hope it was helpful. I hope my feedback was helpful. Welcome, people. We're getting some new faces. T1 does just came from another video. This stream is like 40% quieter. Yeah, it's a pretty quiet stream. You guys, this one is being pretty quiet. Yeah, y'all are welcome to talk, to leave comments, whatever you want to do. It's every stream is different on this channel. Some are very active, some are a lot quieter. But Shipshin Kerr, the volume isn't like completely inaudible. It's fine. All right, awesome. So awesome. Alex Goodmanson, chord voice leading is like elements. Some are unstable and want to turn into another. Yes, very much. And if again you want to learn about that, Academy Music Theory and Harmony 1, this class right here. Again, these are all completely free. I'm very passionate about free education in music because I myself have been denied an education on many times. I got denied from every music school I ever applied to, with one exception. And then even that one didn't turn out well. I had to drop out because I couldn't afford it. And somehow, over the years, I still managed to become a professional composer. I still found out a way to be quite knowledgeable about all this stuff. And so now I'm trying to help share. So free classes, this one right here, Theory and Harmony 1, it will help you learn a lot more about tension and release in harmony. And again, the other one that I've been advertising a lot today is Orchestration 2, Fundamental Arranging Techniques. You do not need to take Orchestration 1. Orchestration 1 is about instrumentation. It teaches you about the different instruments in the orchestra, their ranges, etc. Orchestration 2, if you don't want to learn all this stuff, that's fine. Orchestration 2 is more about arranging. Just different techniques. How do you spell out chords so that they don't sound muddy in a larger setting? How do you balance different layers? How do you make sure that you are giving focus where focus needs to be given? How do you write different textures? Things like that. That's what this class is all about. So, excellent work, Sven. Wonderful job. Now we have Jem Hagamu. I have no idea. I now believe I'm pronouncing Jem's first name correctly. I have no idea if I'm doing Hagamu wrong. It's supposed to be Hagemu. I don't know. I apologize if I'm butchering it, but I know this because the additional notes was Jem is pronounced like gem. All right, so requests. How can I make the string section sound more like Joe Hisaishi? Ooh, one of my favorite topics. When the woodwinds are active, I do hear some resemblance. But when the strings dominate, something about the voicings doesn't quite add up to that nostalgic Ghibli sound. I like to hear what you know about voicing strings like Hisaishi and generally improving this score to reach that tier. Speaking of name pronunciation, I have been criticized over my pronunciation of Hisaishi. I would like to say that Joe Hisaishi has made several posts about visiting America, and every time he introduces himself by going, "Hello, I am Joe Hisaishi," he always pronounces it Hisaishi. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep calling him that. Let's see here. Link to music. Let's do it. Let's see what Jem submitted. Ooh, a returning composer. Pronounced Jem. Oh, sheet music is available. That is very helpful. I thought that worked really well. So, you already did what I was going to say. Oh, this is kind of trippy. Alright, so you already did what I said you were going to say. What I was going to say, which is the combination of pizzicato and arco. So, the combination of bowing the strings and plucking them. That is a very standard Studio Ghibli kind of thing. I didn't really have any moments that kind of stuck out. Something that Joe Hisaishi likes to do a lot is open voicings in his strings. Which means that you're basically skipping layers. So if we were to look at I don't think I have an example in this piece right here. But if we can come up with a quick one. Let's say that we're going to just come up with, let's zoom in a bit. So let's say we've got a chord. And it goes C, E, G, D, F, A. Chord progression will go... We'll do C, D, E, F, and C. Alright, so it's a very lazy, unimaginative chord progression. And if we voice lead this, we can do... Let's see here. Oops. So we've got a chord progression here. This might be one way that you would have the strings play. So open voicing basically says that you're going to spread them out a little bit more. You're skipping chordal tones. So C and G are not next to each other in the chord. We have an E in the middle, but we're not worrying about that. Then from G to E, we have a C. But again, we are ignoring these chordal tones. We are skipping them to create a bit more open space. Again, to create an open voicing. This is something Joe Hisaishi does very frequently. He will also very frequently have the first and second violins doubling the melody in octaves in the very high end of their range to create a very bright, soaring quality. Then he'll very frequently have the mid strings, like violas, playing a counter melody of some sort, with the lower strings playing the bass line. All right, so if that's something you want to do, that's something I could recommend. I think your arrangement works really well. If you're looking for specifically the Joe Hisaishi sound, you're already doing the one thing I was going to recommend. Joe Hisaishi very, very much uses lots of pizzicato, uses lots of plucked strings. You can hear it in most of his soundtracks. You can hear it in his most recent symphony that he just published. You can hear it in his viola concerto. There's a lot of pizzicato strings that get used, especially with the woodwinds. I think you've got that down pat. I think, I think it works really well. So I would just say with your strings, if you want to create a very string-dominant sound, get those violins up high in their range, get a little bit more of a counter melody in the middle voices, and space out the voices a bit more, and it should probably help. But Joe Hisaishi very rarely does string-focused arrangements that sound stereotypically Studio Ghibli. A lot of the Studio Ghibli sound comes from the harmony, and a lot of it comes from the instrumentation, like I said, those plucked strings. So hopefully that helps. Excellent work, Jim. Excellent. Let's see here. Any other questions? Oh, Okay, so 5 Foot Failure. Where can I submit a song? So the way, so we're saying is this 40% quieter? Oh, so this volume is 40%. I have no idea why. Listen, I'll show you guys what I'm showing you. Okay, so right now, I have right here. I am so close to clipping. Even me just talking, it's getting close. You can see how that's like where I'm at. That little highlight is my peak volume. I'm right in the green. I'm a little bit in the yellow. I'm trying to avoid the red because that's where it starts clipping. My mic volume is fine. My input here through Voicemeeter is doing fine. Everything's in the green again. Which that wouldn't really matter because that's feeding into this, and this is the one with the compressor. I have no idea why the audio quality is down for some of you and not others. I apologize, but I don't think there's anything I can do on my end, at least nothing I know of, to adjust it. But 5 Foot Failure, asking where can I... 5 Foot Failure, I'm sorry, your name took me by surprise. All right, so 5 Foot Failure says, where can I submit a song? Yes, so if you want to submit a song, I make these announcements in 2 places. First one is on my Instagram page. All right, you can see live feedback on your music. All right, where I made a post and I talked about it. I announced it. I said this is how you can submit it. And then people submitted it via email or they submitted it versus messages, which I have to respond to that message. But the next place, if you don't have a Instagram, I still post it on the page. See right here. This is a post that went out on YouTube. Same identical post. So you just need to keep an eye out for the announcements when they are made. I will say that generally, the very last stream of every month is a feedback stream. So the very last stream of August will be a feedback. Unless, I think the very last stream is technically actually the competition. Let's check out the, all right, so, yeah, so the 23rd is the goal for the competition, so yeah, the 30th. August 30th is most likely the next one. All right, so yeah, keep an eye out for that, and you'll be able to submit then. Is there going to be theory and harmony too? Okay, good question. So the Academy. So this Academy, these 4 classes are built entirely off of YouTube videos. So YouTube videos and articles that I wrote to accompany the YouTube videos along with assignments and exercises and stuff like that. The whole idea was, since I have almost 300 videos on YouTube and if people wanted to just join and figure out how to watch them in what order, this is what I would recommend. However, if you notice, that's the donation thing, learn more about the Academy. This is where I talk about how I got started and interested in this, and you see phases. Phase 2 involves making new dedicated classes. So in addition to these, where it's not just classes made of YouTube videos, but videos where I go into lessons where I go into much more stuff, like bigger topics that are where I design the classes deliberately as a class and not as a YouTube project. With that in mind, yes, I do have plans to do more advanced harmony stuff. And I have, right now, I have 3 topics that I'm interested in doing. I have a mixing class that I would like to do, like fundamental mixing techniques for orchestration and how to make your stuff sound good. I have a MIDI mock-up class that I would like to do, where that talks about more just kind of creating realistic performance with your computer. And then number 3, I believe was like a film scoring, like how to make your own templates, how to study music and stuff like that. Now, the issue is making these classes is incredibly time consuming, especially if I'm not just using YouTube videos. So keep an eye out for it, but I'm probably going to do a fundraiser where if I can fundraise a certain amount of money to basically guarantee that my bills will be paid for a month or 2 while I make the class, then I'll dedicate the time to creating new classes. But for now, these are the 4 you got. Keep an eye out for it. If you'd like to support, again, you can make donations. These are completely free classes. They are quality classes as well, if I do say so myself. But let's see here. So moving on, Adam Rasavati. I'm so sorry for butchering your name. All right, let's see here. Request: the area from 22 seconds to 45 seconds seems quite empty and could be filled, but I don't know with what. Choir Oz or something? I couldn't think of anything. Now, I tried to make this piece really small and compressed. I wanted to practice reusing a motif in a short amount of time, which is kind of how I got this really odd song structure. I'm not even sure if it's considered respectable with the structure I went with. I wouldn't worry about it. I kind of ignored all the very few rules I knew about song structure with this piece because it's so short and just had fun with it. Awesome. But at the end of the day, I wondered if it's even considered music anymore. I guarantee you it is. Additional notes. I made a little piece with a skit playing in my head. Just someone randomly encountering a dinosaur and having to run in panic out of nowhere. I love that. Also, I have quite a few pieces that I have worked on that are well over 5 minutes long. I'm curious if you have any services just related to feedback. I'd be willing to pay for feedback on some of my longer pieces. Let me know. Thank you and have a nice day. And thank you for the streams. Awesome. Thank you very much, Adam. I very much enjoy these. Real quick, I have considered offering feedback as a paid service because I offer feedback to my students. My students get feedback. My class, which starts Monday, by the way, there are spots still left. So if you want to enroll Emotions of Music, it starts Monday. It's a 6-week class. As part of this class, you get feedback every single week. You submit a piece of music for the homework or the exercises or whatever, and you get written feedback that goes into detail. All right? So that's something I already offer as part of my classes and part of my private lessons that I teach. But I have gotten requests about doing feedback as just a standalone, where you submit a piece of music and then I give you feedback, either in video form or written form, or both. The trick, I am really self-conscious about my breathing right now because the mic is so loud. To try and, because you guys said the quality was bad. Let's see here, but, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, feedback. So that is a service I'm open to. I would have to figure out what to charge, what would be fair given the amount of time that I put into it, and what's a fair market value and stuff. So I'd have to put some thought into it, but it's something that I'd think about. If you guys have like what you would be willing to pay for, let me know. It's always helpful to kind of get some market research like that. But enough putzing around. Let's listen to this.
It's time to get the world talking about black-led brands.
All right, hold up. We got a 25-second ad that we got to get through. All right, so let's see here. Play. It will blow up my ears at this volume up. Yeah, I have no idea what the volume is. I showed you guys my setup. Everything should be fine. I have no idea why some people are struggling with the audio and some aren't. Here we go. I love the electronic elements. That gave some Pokemon vibes. All right, I really like that. All right, so, well, first off, I think there's a lot that I want to say. One thing I'll say, I really, really like the electronic elements, where like little blurps in here. It reminded me of a Pokemon game, where like you're in a gym battle, and then the Pokemon come out and they make a little noise, or they faint and they make another noise. So yeah, that was putting me in a good mood. Let's talk about your feedback though. 22 seconds to 45 seconds seems empty and could be filled. Let's go back and re-listen to this. Because I was vibing and I wasn't paying attention, I'll be true. I don't think it sounds empty. Yeah, see, that didn't stick out to me as feeling empty. If you wanted to add choirs, you could. So there are two of the things that I listen for in music when I'm offering feedback. There's a lot of stuff I listen for, but two of the broadest ones are what I call dips and bumps, which I didn't come up with those terms. It's actually from a book by, excuse me, I gotta stop drinking carbonated drinks during streams. Alan Belkin, his amazing book, Musical Composition, Craft, and Art, which I love. He talks about dips and bumps. Where a bump meaning when something happens in the music that doesn't feel like it fits. Where maybe it's a cymbal crash at a really weird part. Maybe the brass enter when you weren't really expecting them. Or it just feels wrong. Something was added that feels wrong. Where a dip is the opposite. The dip is where it feels like there's something missing. Where it feels empty. Now you say you feel a dip here. You feel like that sounds empty. I don't think it does. I disagree. Personally, I think it sounds great. But you are the composer. If you want to add music, if you want to add choir, go for it. Now, this next issue, the issue of structure. So, I think it worked really well, especially with a story in mind. Something that a lot of people seem to not really realize is that media music, that's film scoring, plays, musicals, video games, TV shows, anime, stuff like that, music that is written to accompany media, is inherently... well, maybe not musicals, but inherently media music goes against the standard kind of structures and forms. And it's because of a very specific concept that we are going to just highlight, and we're going to add a comment called the practice of subordination. Subordination basically states that any musical structure, any structure at all used in film music, TV music, video games, any structure should come from the story itself. So if a composer tries to use sonata form in a film score, it's probably not going to work unless the film score just happens to be set up perfectly for sonata form. But the idea is that you don't take external structures and try to apply them to the story. You have to look at the story itself. You need to figure out, all right, what themes need to be used where, what hit points exist where, etc., etc. And you find out what the shape and structure of the music should be from the story itself. So if your music doesn't have a traditional structure, that's fine. It does not need a traditional structure. Traditional structures exist for music that exists for its own sake. Sonata form was designed to write sonatas. Rondo form was created to perform rondos. Film music was invented to follow the film. See what I mean? So just because there aren't standardized structures doesn't mean that there isn't structure. So I wouldn't worry about it. When you were talking about how short it was, I thought it was going to be like 30 seconds long. No, 1 minute, 29 seconds is perfectly respectable. And yeah, if you want to pay for some feedback, I do private lessons. That's the closest thing I do now, where I have lots of students who will submit music and we just talk about their music and come up with study plans. But I'll think about adding, like, offering a service for feedback on music. So next, we have a channel regular, Aditya, who is Tamashi in the comments. Is Tamashi here? I don't know if Tamashi... Oh, yeah, Tamashi's here. All right, so, yes, Castlevania vibes. I like that. Let's see here. Shipshire, we really need those classes, especially for notating scoring people like me. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, going back to this class, also, check out the Emotions and Music class. Like I said, it starts Monday, then it closes for a month and a half minimum because the classes are 6 weeks long. So if you want a spot, there are still spots. Join in. There are payment options, payment plans available. For the Academy, for the free classes, yes, a music notation class would be really fun. So how to make your own sheet music if you want your music to be performed live. There are lots of cool classes. So again, if you want to support it, show support, make a donation. All donations are helpful. I've had people donate large amounts. I've had people donate just $1 or $2. Everything helps. And again, if we want new dedicated classes, I'll probably do a fundraiser. Where basically, because these classes, like I say, take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And if I'm working on a free class, I can't spend that time working on something that's going to make me money. So I'll need to have that time paid for already, basically. Let's see here. So Aditya says, for my piece, the question I wanted to ask is, with so many instruments, what is the best approach for reverb? All right. Oh, awesome. So we got some people from India talking in the comments. So that's awesome. It's really cool seeing people connect and realize what parts of the world they're from. Because it's crazy to me, the idea that there are people from different parts of the world actually paying me. Because I'm just a dude from Michigan. So it's really weird to know that there are people from the UK, people from India, people from Asia. I've had people from Africa. I have had students. I have taught private students from 6 of the 7 continents. The only continent I haven't taught a student from is Antarctica. So if anyone's going on a research expedition or something and wants music lessons, let me know. All right? So Aditya. So Aditya had a lot of questions, but the question that you're saying in the comments that you want is basically the best approach to reverb for so many different instruments. And this one was written for a Ryan Leach competition. Awesome. Let's listen. Ooh. Beautiful image.
When you wanna bet on sports, played on a...
No, I don't want to bet on sports. All right, so we're waiting for the ad to finish. Awesome. Welcome. All right, so welcome people on the streams. Again, if you want... Again, so while we do this, I'm going to remind people that I am currently offering a bribe. All right, I am offering a bribe to everyone on this channel. Go watch my latest video and leave 2 comments. 1, make your own comment, and then 2, respond to someone else's comment. All right? And then like the video. If you don't do those 3 things, and then you message me on Instagram or email, I will send you a coupon code for 15% off my book. Now, I know 15% doesn't sound very big, but if you go over and you check out my bookshop, you'll see that I'm currently hosting a 20% sale. All right? So that's technically 35% because they do stack. I have already had a couple people take advantage of this, and so it's really cool. You can get my textbooks, 400 pages, teaching everything about music, for a fraction of the price. So yeah, check it out. Again, all you need to do to get that coupon code, head over to the YouTube channel, watch my latest video, the tutorial on writing music like Skyrim, like the video, and leave 2 comments. Leave 1 comment of your own and respond to someone else's comment. Even if it's just a thumbs up emoji, that stuff works. All right? I want to get the comments improving so that I don't have the typical plateau where my videos stop getting view after 3 days. Anywho, let's get back to Aditya's music. Waiting for the ad to finish. Oh, it's 2 ads. 3, 2, 1. Ad number 2. 2 of 2, 29 seconds. All right, so yeah, we're kind of killing time right now. Just waiting for this. 23. No, I'm not betting on sports. I'm not a betting man. Let's see here. 14 seconds left. Here we go. Let's see here. How y'all doing? How's life going for people? All right, here we go. Oh, gorgeous right off the bat. I love the texture. Beautiful. Oh. All right, beautiful arrangement, Aditya. Wonderful, wonderful job. So I know it's not what you asked about, but I would say if you want to work on the competitions like this, focus on smoothing out your transitions between textures. All right, that's just one kind of passing moment. I've talked about transitions before, but what you were asking about was reverb, and I just so happen to have an example that I can pull right off the bat. So you were talking about having multiple different libraries, multiple different instruments, and trying to work with reverb. So for those of you who don't know, reverb is an effect that gets used to mimic the behavior of a room. All right, so it's meant to kind of mimic, again, if you want an actual breakdown of reverb, actually, tabletopcomposer.com, check out my blogs. I have a breakdown so that we don't have to go too in-depth. No, not Bookshop, blog. Let's see here, where is it? Creating a digital space for your arrangements. This one right here. We talk about mic positions, panning, reverb. So there are basically 3 types of sound. You have direct sound. Anytime you hear sound, it's going to hit you in 3 distinct waves. The first are the sound waves that go directly from the source, and they hit you without bouncing off anything. Next, we have early reflections, where it leaves the source, maybe bounces off 1 or 2 surfaces before eventually finding your ear. Then the tail is just a wash of sounds, sounds that bounced all over the place until they eventually found their way to you. Now, what reverb does is it mimics these 3 elements, all right, to try and create the impact that a specific room has on your sound. Now, why is this important? Because libraries are recorded in different rooms. For example, Violins 1, I am using Cinestrings Core from Museo. I am also using Albion 1 from Strings. I am also using Cinestrings Solo. I am also down here using Voxos Epic Choirs. I am using Women of the North and Men of the North. And I'm using one called Voces 8. So I'm using lots of different libraries, each recorded in a different space at a different time. Well, some of them are recorded in the same space, but different time, different settings, different environments. So they're all going to be impacted slightly differently. So if you're going to do this, I recommend using 2 reverbs, minimum. So for the strings, you're going to see that all of my strings are, oops, wrong button. All of them go to my strings reverb bus. So if I go to, well, first they all go through here. They go through strings. And you'll see in strings, I have a reverb set up for Valhalla Room. This is a room, all right? So you'll notice it has a very short tail. The point of putting all of my string libraries through the same room reverb is to make sure that oops, I exited out of it, did it? Putting it all through the same room reverb is to help mimic the early reflections, to help impact the way the room is going to color the sound. Because the way your room is set up is going to determine the kind of impact of your reverb. For example, rooms with lots of soft, cushiony surfaces, beds, blankets, carpets, sound paneling, anything that's soft is going to absorb high frequencies. What that means is it's going to make your reverb sound much more subtle. Now, rooms with lots of hard surfaces, linoleum floors, wood floors, plaster walls, brick walls, any hard surfaces, they're not going to absorb as much sound. So your reverb is going to be much, much more noticeable. So I would say first, put all of your libraries through a room. Again, something with just like 1 second of tail. So you're not getting a long tail, you're not creating a bunch of stuff like that. You're just trying to make sure it sounds like they're in the same room. Then you can use Ascend, another reverb for my effects channels. And this one's going to be much more of the actual typical reverb. So the first one just sets them all in the same room. This one's going to create the actual size and the tail that you want. And then you're going to send each one basically to a certain amount to see which ones get, to make sure that they all have a similar length, a similar tail. So you'll see how like some of these in the choir is like -8. I think most of them actually set to -8 because a lot of these were recorded in the same space. But yeah, see, so some of the strings have -7, -10, -7, -10. Again, to help make sure that they all have similar tail lengths. So that's a very brief rundown. Again, if you want to understand this, read this blog post, which is technically a chapter taken from one of my ebooks. The section on reverb will break it all down for you. It'll talk about what reverb is, why it works, creating your own reverb, pre-delay, hassle creating, applying reverb, so ascend effects, mixing dry and wet signals. All of this will be very helpful, hopefully. So check that out. It'll give you a nice walkthrough. So helpfully. Okay, yes, so yes, it's a good blog post. I've got lots of good blog posts, so check it out, people. And thank you, Tamashi. Yes, I did make those drawings myself, so thank you. Let's see here. So we are starting to run out of time because I do have a schedule to keep to. So let's go on to Rocad Guitar. How many we got left? We got 3 left. Okay, so Rocad Guitar, who's in the comments? Request. I have been having some trouble developing the choir parts to sound more exciting or interesting. In particular, the women's choir seems like its contour is off. Maybe because it returns to the highest note too much. Additional notes. This is a song I made a couple months ago as a boss theme for a friend's game, and I've been wanting to go back and improve it. My original constraint was about a minute duration, give or take a few seconds. All right, awesome. Let's give it a listen.
Okay, you say...
No ads. Alright, so we got 25 seconds to kill, people. Alright, so Rocad Guitar. Let's see. A minute long. Oh, yeah. So it's a nice short piece. So you wanted to know about the choir. Why does the choir not sound as dynamic as it could? Polishing off my energy drink. 2 seconds. 1 second. Boom. Ooh. I think the choir's just too quiet. Oh yeah, I think it sounds fine. I think the main thing is just the mix. The choir is too quiet. Right now your percussion is taking center stage. Which, if that's what you want, that's good, but you weren't asking about the percussion, you were asking about the choir. I'd say adjust the mix, let the choir sit in the front a bit more, and then if it still doesn't work, my next thing would say adding a bit more contrast. So when I think of big epic choirs, one of the first soundtracks to pop into my head is Attack on Titan. Now, one of the first things you'll notice when you actually sit and listen, which I have been because, little kind of secret, the most recent tutorial was Skyrim. The next one's going to be Attack on Titan. So I'm super excited about that one. Again, go leave 2 comments on this. I'm bribing all of you. Leave 2 comments. Leave a comment and then respond to a comment. And I'll give you a 15% discount that can be stacked on the 20%. So it's technically 30%, 35% off. So that's that. But with Attack on Titan, one of the things you'll notice about the choir is it'll have this big bombastic moment and then whoom, it comes back down. It gets very soft, very quiet. Because something that people must forget about with epic music is it needs contrast. Those big moments only sound big if they have smaller moments to compare themselves to. So if you are constantly just hammering on the size and energy, it gets fatiguing. And it has nothing to compare itself against to. So eventually it loses its impact. But if you do like an ABA type structure, big bombastic moment, then come back down. Maybe just kind of like a little bit of sound design or some crazy drums going on or something. Something to reduce the size to allow your audience to reset their ears. So then, bam, when you come back to the big bombastic moment again, it's going to be huge. It's going to be awesome. It's going to cause goosebumps. It's going to be a really cool experience. But yeah, I'd say your choir part sounds great from what I could hear. I would just say make the choir a bit louder. And yeah, see where it goes from there. If it gets a bit louder so that you can actually hear it at the center stage, If that doesn't work, then try extending the music or just slipping in a little bit of a contrasting moment where the choir comes down. Maybe some soft whisper chanting or something. Then a build up, boom, an arrival. You'd be amazed how just a little bit of contrast like that can double down on the size and impact. Awesome. Helpful. I'm glad to be helpful. Need to read that especially. Yes. Excellent. So hopefully that was helpful, Rokad. That was a very good piece. Other than that, Shib Shankar, another person in the comments. So Shib Shankar requests how to add external vibrato to strings if my sound library's vibrato isn't good enough. Unfortunately, there isn't a way that I know of. Vibrato is a technique done by the instrument. So for example, on the violin, to produce vibrato, the player uses their fingers to shake the string a little bit, to add that little wobble, to change that change in pitch. So if you want a realistic vibrato, to my knowledge, there are no plugins that will do that externally. You could try, but it's probably just an issue with the libraries. That's why vibrato is such a big selling point in a lot of libraries. Some have what they call expressive vibrato, where the longer a note is held, the more vibrato is added in the performance. Others, like some Spitfire libraries, allow you to actually customize the amount of vibrato based off MIDI continuous controllers and things like that. But unfortunately, that's just something that's kind of a limitation of some libraries. Okay, most importantly, how to write for background and orchestra other than bass line and melody. How to voice instruments to get a specific sound color, or how to write good counter melodies. All right, these are all wonderful questions. Unfortunately, they are all big topics. So I'm going to just point you in the direction of my academy again, which I feel like I always do this to Shib Shankar. So Shib Shankar is a member of my Discord channel, which all of you can join. It's free. There should be a link somewhere on this YouTube channel where you can find it, or you can just find it by signing up for the class. But I feel like I'm always pointing you in front of these classes, Shib Shankar. I apologize. That's not what I'm trying to do. I do want to help. But I just have a lot of really good information in these classes. So if you want to learn more about writing background in orchestra, Music Theory and Melody will teach you about counter melodies and counterpoint. Orchestration 2 will teach you a lot about different textures and different layers you can do in orchestration. How to voice instruments to get a specific sound color. Yeah, again, Orchestration 2 will cover that. And how to write good counter melodies, again, you'll find that in Melody and Theory 1. So I apologize for that. I feel like I was just pointing you in direction of my classes, but let's listen to the music and see if there's something else that I can offer.
Hey, did you know this?
All right. The thing I hate about Spotify or SoundCloud ads is we can't skip them. All right, so we've got 2 ads. We've got a whole minute worth of advertisements. Oh, I want to write strings like Rachmaninoff did. Oh, beautiful, beautiful music. I would recommend studying his music then. So here's what I would recommend. I would say take my class in Orchestration 2, take my class in Melody 1. That will give you a lot of music theory that you can then use to analyze his music and figure out, oh, I know what he's actually doing now. I know what's going on in the music now, and that will give you a language with which you can study the music and apply what you find to your own stuff. 15 seconds. I feel like we're getting a lot of ads in this stream. I feel like we don't get this many in the others. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm getting some James Newton Howard vibes here. Oh, this is a very classical romantic type orchestration. Oh, you have a very classical way of using strings. I'm hearing a bit of Shostakovich in this. That was beautiful. Well done, Chipchakar. Well done. All right, so you had a question where do I have any tips on how Rachmaninoff writes for strings? Unfortunately not. I haven't studied Rachmaninoff before. I've listened to his music, just not in a while. So here's what I would recommend. Like I said, take those classes. They're going to give you a language with which to study music. Then I'm going to recommend listening to your favorite pieces by Rachmaninoff and try answering 2 questions throughout the music. All right? You can break it into chunks. That always helps. But try to answer 2 questions. If you want to write the strings, ask yourself in the string section, how many different layers do I hear? And then, what are they? Very, very simple. Super simple. 2 questions. How many layers do you hear? And what are they? By answering just those 2 questions, you're going to be able to learn a lot about the texture and a lot about the structure of the music. You can say, all right, so in the strings, I hear a melody that sounds like it's being played in octaves in the strings. I hear a counter melody in the violas, and the bass line seems to be split between celli and basses, but the celli seem to be a little more embellishing than the basses. Whatever it is, you're going to learn a lot from just answering those 2 questions. And again, taking these 2 classes is going to give you a lot of vocabulary, a lot of understanding of what to listen for. Now, those 2 questions might seem super simple, but those are literally the only 2 questions I used to create this entire tutorial. This entire tutorial about how to write Skyrim style music, and I studied the pieces by just listening. What layers do I hear and what instruments are playing them? All right. And using the knowledge that I have from building these classes and studying music and being a composer, I was able to create a template for myself on how to do that. So while I can't give you specifics in what Rachmaninoff does in his arrangements and what strategies he uses, I would say, again, just listen to your favorite pieces and try to answer those questions. If you can answer those questions, you're going to learn so much. And if you would want a little bit of a breakdown, again, this is something where it's a short video I put on Instagram. I wish I had been able to do more on YouTube, but it was too long for YouTube as a short. This one right here was a reel I did on how to analyze music without reading notation. It's like 90 seconds long. It breaks down a process that very helpful. You can learn from there. But excellent work. So hopefully that helps. I wish I could give you more specific feedback. Yeah, sounds good to me. I'd say the only things where it might felt like it was a little off, there were a couple moments where the volume dipped suddenly. That didn't seem to be part of the dynamics. But it seemed very, very well done. All right, so the last one we have is by another channel regular, Jack Von Ludwig. All right, link to the music. Additional notes, this is a cover. I don't think we've ever had a cover submitted to these before. My concerns about the overall flow. Where does it pull you out of listening? Think of it like a movie. When did you see the actor look directly into the camera, so to speak? I'm curious about my dynamics as well. I reused my dynamics for like string parts. Violins share the same dynamics. Violas and cello are also some dynamics as well. I think it does negatively impact some areas, mainly right at the beginning. All right, so that's going to be a question about MIDI mockups. And then the mix and master. So we have overall flow, quality of the mockups, and mixing and mastering. All right, let's give it a listen. This is gorgeous. This was what I was talking about earlier, by having the size come down. And the choir introducing something new. Oh, well done, Jack. Well, that was beautiful. All right, so I'm not familiar with Devil May Cry. I don't know if it's a game. I don't know if it's a show or something. If I haven't heard of it, it's probably because it's a game. I don't play as many games as I would like to. Very well done. So first off, let's talk about some things that you asked about. Yes, you already know this. I felt like there weren't any moments where the flow was an issue, but you already knew this. Using the same mod information, the same modulation information for every single string track, stuff like that, it's going to create a blockier performance. When a real string orchestra is playing a piece of music, they're not all uniform. It's not all identical. There's a certain amount of human error and variability that makes it sound musical. When everything is exactly controlled, exactly the same by computer, it comes off a little blocky. It's not a major issue, but it's one that, again, it's holding this piece back a little bit. Other than that, I think the mix and master sounds really good. So excellent work. And I will say I did love that this was an example of 3 things we've talked about in this stream. So first off, I talked about earlier about the importance of having variability in your size. And a lot of you may have noticed how that impacted the quality of the sound, the emotional hits. When the size came down, it got super soft and we had a little bit of a contrast. So then when it swelled back up with drum rolls, a cymbal crash, and introducing new elements like the choir, the emotional impact was way, way bigger. So awesome stuff. So 3 things again that was a good example of variation in size, the power of adding new elements, and using, of course, drum rolls and hits. So wonderful job, everybody. This was a very fun stream for me. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. So again, next month, August 30th will be the last stream of August. So that's when we will be doing the live stream feedback. Tentatively, if something happens and I can't do it, then I apologize. But that's the plan. It's August 30th will be the next live feedback stream. So thank you to everybody who stopped by. Don't forget, head over to watch this video, leave a comment and respond to someone else's comment to really help out. I'm trying to avoid the curse of my channel, which is after 3 days, the views just stop. We are coming up on 3 days, and you can already see that even though it's performing really well, it's starting to flatline a little bit. So leaving those comments is going to do wonders. The YouTube algorithm loves it when people comment. If you do those 2 things, if you leave a comment and you respond to someone's comment, let me know. Either message me on Instagram or YouTube, or Instagram or an email, and I'll send you a coupon that compounds with the sale I'm currently hosting, so you can get 35% total off anything and everything from my website. So you can get both my textbooks for 35% off each if you'd like. These are the 2 that sell the best. But yeah, so thank you very much to everybody who stopped by. I had a blast. I hope you did as well. And I'll see you all in the next stream. All right? Have a good one. Bye-bye.